Welcome again, folks, and a bookending episode. How about that? That's what I'm calling it, a bookending episode around a period of time very special to a lot of our great friends of the Islamic faith. And we are kind of at the other end, and we're going to talk about considerations around the celebration of Eid with our good friend Soumaya Khalifa, welcoming her back in about 6 weeks since she was a guest. So stick around. We're going to hear about that coming up right now. Welcome back.
Welcome everybody. Two chaps, many cultures, two chaps with a wonderful guest today. As we are talking about, and I hope I'm saying it right again, Soumaya will correct me in a second. I think it's Eid al-Fitr. Maybe she will say it better than I would do. The end of the fasting month of Ramadan is upon the Muslim world, and it is not really clear when it will begin. Has it already started? Do we have to wait a couple more hours? How does this work, Soumaya? Tell us.
The suspense is killing us.
Hello. How are y'all?
Welcome back,
Soumaya. On short notice.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back with you all and to speak about the end of Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr. You got it right, Christian. Yours just absolutely amazing pronunciation. I have to tell you something. For Eid al-Fitr, which is some countries in the Arab countries, they will say this is the little Eid. And for the Egyptian culture, because that's my background, we make cookies for Eid. So what I did is I brought some cookies with me to show you all. And I'm still fasting, but I could smell the butter and it's killing me. I mean, I'm just going, oh. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you that that cultural piece about Eid and how people in Egypt and many parts of the Arab world celebrate by making very special cookies for it. And so I'm very excited about that. So yes, Eid al-Fitr is the right word, right pronunciation, and it is called the meaning of it. Eid means a celebration, and it actually means coming back. So Eid is something that happens every year, and Fitr means breaking the fast. So after the month of Ramadan, Muslims celebrate their accomplishment of being able to fast for the whole month, and just a little bit of information that the day in the Islamic calendar, just like the Jewish calendar, starts from sundown. So the first day of Eid actually starts about 8:30 this evening until tomorrow. And so right now is our last day of fasting. So I haven't had anything to eat or drink since 5 o'clock in the morning. And I have to tell you, waking up at 4:15 every day, it sounds like really, really tough to do, but my whole family, my daughter and my husband and I wake up, we're kind of, grouchy and not really wanting to wake up. But once we get there and start eating and everybody gets out with whatever they want to eat, then it becomes a great time for conversation. And we were talking this morning, how are we going to miss that? This is our special time of talking and connecting. So that's going to be missed.
So you wake up during Ramadan at the latest possible time in order to still eat before sunrise, right? And everybody, as you said, might be a bit grouchy or still kind of sleepy, but it makes for different kitchen table conversations than for the rest of the year, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Ramadan is very special because it brings the families together. In regular days, I grab something to eat going to work or going to meetings or what have you. In the evening, nobody's around, so I'm hungry. I'll grab whatever I want to eat. But for Ramadan, it's very disciplined, where we wake up in the morning very intentional about being together and eating before the sun comes up. And then in the evening time before sundown, and let me tell you, everybody has their phone and checks the calendar and checks Google, what time is sunset today? And then we argue every single day Is it 8:26 today or 8:27? No, I heard it on this website. I read it on this website. It's 8:26. No, it says 8:27 here, and it never gets old. We do that every single day, just about.
So
that's actually a part of the the tradition, right? The tradition is not just the spiritual, but there's that kind of interaction between people that you kind of enjoy, right? It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
I read somewhere there's this I don't know, official body of observers of, I think, the halal lifestyle, what time the sunrise and sunset is in every time zone, or in different time zones around the world. So that official agency, I guess, sets the exact time. Is that correct? No?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Then I read something that is totally bonkers.
Yeah, well, Muslims are very, very egalitarian when it comes to that kind of stuff. They don't have a hierarchy in the religion, very different than Catholics, for instance, where you have the Pope, you have the guidelines, you have the church, and as I understand from my Catholic sisters and brothers, it's very, it's very much told to them what to do and when to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Muslims, it's a direct relationship between the person and God. And they might look at, the website that you talked about and get that as a suggestion, but they might want to say, hey, I'm going to follow the local mosque and I'm going to follow whatever the local mosque says. Same thing for when does Ramadan start and when does Ramadan end? You will find Muslims, maybe in the same family, maybe in the same city, where my family is going to be celebrating Eid tomorrow, but there might be people in Atlanta who are celebrating today, or maybe they're celebrating day after tomorrow, because who they follow and who they're going to go to pray with, even virtually, they're saying that Eid is Friday, not Thursday, or it's Wednesday, not Thursday. So and there's different interpretations of when is the new moon born, or who am I going to follow? If this particular part of the world says it was born, then I will follow them. So there are a lot of complications there. It's not really black and white.
But this year, and I'm waiting for you to set the record straight, but from what I read this year, there was apparently a lot of anticipation, expectation that after 29 days of fasting today, they would have seen the new crescent moon in time to call it an end today, but that didn't happen. So it has to go the full 30 days. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that the majority of the Muslim world is celebrating tomorrow. But I'm waiting to be surprised, because I'm sure there are communities and people who are not going to be, breaking their fast tomorrow. Just like the start of Ramadan. We started Ramadan, and not everybody started the same day. I know communities here in Atlanta who started the following day. So, but it's all good. It's part of the diversity and part of different interpretations of the same thing. And that's what we're all about as interculturals, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned I just want to mention the post before about in talking to your employer about this. This is a consideration where it's kind of it's not sure. You can't really schedule this, so it's a great way of employers making space and accommodations for this. If somebody wants to actually celebrate by staying away from work for that particular day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for Muslims, like you saw in my post and like what I'm sharing here, I did not know, today's what, Wednesday, Monday, what day is Eid. And for departments and in the work environment, people need to know when people are going to be out. So this particular manager that I had, and she's really a close friend and mentor now, and we talk all the time. Her name is Vicky, and she, I used to tell her, hey, Vicky, I might have to be off Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it is, because there is a holiday that's coming up and I'm going to need to take it off. And just say, fine, do whatever you need to do. And she had that look on her face, like, what's the matter with her, right? And she didn't say anything. She didn't ask. And I didn't feel like I should, part information if she didn't ask. And later on, we became really close friends. And she attended one of my cultural training sessions, and she said, let me tell you, all these years, I was just wondering about you. I thought you were pretty smart. And why wasn't it that you were able to look at a calendar and just tell me what date you need to take it off, right?
Right. Is it so hard? Is it not a calendar?
Every time I tell the story, I call her up or I text her. I said, hey, Vicky, I told you a story. And she gets a big laugh out of that. But, with the employees and with the employers, being aware that the holidays for Muslims are not a December 25th holiday. It depends on the moon. It depends on the sighting, depends on the community. And the majority of Muslims, practicing or non-practicing, they most probably want to take that day off to feel a sense of identity. If it's not for them, it's for their family, it's for their children to have that sense of identity. And some of the accommodations would be to have maybe some extra holidays, floating holidays that a person could take if their observances, whether it's Eid or whether it's Yom Kippur or any different or minority religious traditions, that they could be able to take the day off and use those holidays, those floating holidays. Some people just want to be out for the morning to do the prayers, pre-COVID days. And it means that they will, take a couple hours off, do the holiday thing, do the prayer, and then come back to work. I know that I have done that in the past, and my husband has done that in the past. So just the understanding. And by the way, for employers, just having good inclusive practices. It does not have to be just for Muslims, but if they have the guidelines, the policies, they are inclusive and provide a culture of belonging, then whatever policies they have, whatever holidays, flags, hours, and etc., it will accommodate more than just the Muslims. It will accommodate many different religious traditions, as well as maybe ethnic traditions as well in holidays.
So Soumaya, I've noted, and you mentioned it earlier, it was your birthday during the month of Ramadan. Does that affect how you celebrate your birthday or how your family celebrates you? Because you can't have the, I know you like a good cake. So you have to, does that mean you have to push the celebrations back into the after sunset time of day, or do you set aside another day outside of Ramadan to, I don't know, make up for what wasn't possible during the fast?
Well, Christian, I have to tell you that I decided that the whole month of May is going to be my birthday celebration. It's not just going to be one day, right? Because it was so good. It was so amazing. I had a friend of mine. She was just so amazing. She dropped by unexpectedly and knocked on the door, and she says, I'm here. And she brought me a beautiful piece of artwork. And what it was 7 cupcakes that were beautifully decorated on a golden cardboard, the stuff that they put under cakes. And it looked like a beautiful bouquet of flowers, but it was cupcakes. And so we were able to celebrate. I got some really awesome candles that said HBU2. To you, the number 2 and then you, happy birthday to you. And I thought those were the neatest candles, and we used those to sing and blow the candles. But all that happened after we broke the fast, and those cupcakes were absolutely delicious. They were the best thing I've ever had. And then we had another cake the following day and another cake the following day, and I have to tell you, we're just continuing the celebrations.
Okay. So what is I don't know if there's a typical Eid celebration around the world, or if that really depends on the country or the family traditions, but what would be a uniting thing? What would be a common thread for Eid al-Fitr celebrations throughout the Muslim world? What happens on that day?
It's if one goes to a Muslim majority country, then the celebration will be in the air. There will be lights in the streets. There will be people wearing new clothes. There will be Eid prayers out in the parks, and thousands of people doing their Eid prayers outside, families visiting each other. I know that as a young child, when I was in Egypt before my family moved to the United States, I had an uncle who would bring all his children. He had like 5 children at the time, and he would come and visit every single family within the big family, right? And it would feel like Eid until this uncle came by. And the tradition in Egypt was, instead of giving gifts, the adults would give money to the children. So by the end of Eid, the child will look at the money and see how much they were able to get from all the family members, all the friends of the parents. And it just, and people used to go to the bank and get brand new bills, because that's what Eid was all about, to get brand new money. And that is a special feeling. Up until this day, when we give money to our kids and our grandchildren, I go to the bank and I ask them, do you have brand new bills? And they look at me like, what's the matter with you? A dollar is a dollar. I mean, we give them more than that. But I say, no, this is important. I want brand new bills. And so, so we still give money to the younger generations in the family, and it's a tradition, and the kids look forward to that. For our family, my daughter started a Eid egg hunt versus an Easter egg hunt, and the kids will come to our backyard, and they will be eggs hidden all over the place, and the kids have a great time finding those eggs and what's inside of them. So she's planning a big egg hunt, because after a year plus, because of COVID, we have not been reunited, all of us. So our son from Houston is coming, and we're looking forward to having him coming tomorrow night. So we're looking forward to having everyone together. That's going to be a first in a long time.
So you mentioned you go out in new clothes. You mentioned brand new money. So is Eid something like a new beginning for the year? Is it shedding off what?
That's a really great observation, Christian. Muslims believe that during the month of Ramadan, they ask forgiveness from God, and if they are, very connected to God and God answers their prayers, it's like a new beginning. You're absolutely right. I had never thought about that. Yeah.
All right. Nice. Good.
Yeah, it's kind of the same message I was hearing when you were saying that, right? It's like a just similar to Catholic or Christian traditions and that kind of thing. It's a renewals period, and and you called it an accomplishment, right?
Yes.
So it is that 30 days of connecting with a family and your beliefs and things like this. So but it is actually it's a pretty big commitment. I was in a fast food restaurant the other day, and there's a young girl behind the counter, and I said, wow, this must be. I said, is it challenging for you to work in here during the day and she said, well, I thought it would be, but she said, I find it even feels more like an accomplishment, this ability to be able to just remove yourself from what you're doing, still care about what you're doing and serve the people. So it was just the way she opened up in that kind of, people may just come and go in those restaurants, but there wasn't a lot of people in there, so we had a good time to talk about it. But it was just really great how a young person like that described her experience as an accomplishment, and that ability to be able to be in that situation and remove herself and connect to what the meaning of it was. That's great.
It takes a lot of willpower to not eat or drink. And let me tell you, during Ramadan, people crave food, especially in my family. Yes. And I don't have room in my refrigerator because, I go out and buy stuff, and my husband says, I feel like whatever. And I go out and get it. And my daughter goes out and gets more stuff, and we have no room in our refrigerator. So just being around and having a refrigerator full of food, which we're very thankful for, but you can't touch it. It takes a lot of willpower to do that. Now, let me go back to reasonable accommodations in the workplace. So some of the things would include to maybe have a calendar that identifies the different faith traditions and what's going on, and maybe having some lunch and learn before Ramadan, and having Muslim employees talk about what Ramadan means or what Eid is, and to have that dialogue within the workplace so people have a better understanding of each other. A lot of times we say, bring your whole self to work.
Hmm.
But when it comes to religion, a lot of employers are very, very scared, and they would say, okay, bring your whole self, but leave your religion or your spirituality at the door. We don't want to deal with that. But if we really want to bring the whole self, we need to be able to bring our whole self to work. And we need to also put some guidelines. So when you and I bring our religion to work, it does not mean having a debate of who's right or who's wrong, or who's going to go to hell and who's going to go to heaven. It's not about that. It's about getting to know the person at a deeper level where the person feel like they belong. And there are many large organizations that have employee resource groups based on faith. And they find that to be very, very effective, because when we talk in the workplace about values, about what matters to us, and if we are able as employers to relate those values and connect them to our employees' values, just think about the power and the accomplishment that we will be able to achieve as an employer. So this is a business case. Bringing people's religion to the workplace with guidelines is something that has not been done, but I think more and more of the big employers are going there now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone mentioned before that, well, that takes the pressure out. If you actually explicitly say, you're not being invited here to defend yourself, you're coming here to let people understand you as a person. That's a whole different framework to start that conversation, right? So it's an inviting atmosphere. So, and it starts at culture. So I was having a discussion the other day about what comes first. Does inclusion come before culture? And someone mentioned, well, actually the entryway into it is culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's the curiosity and the intentionality of understanding somebody's background, not just faith, but eating habits and things like this. And then part of that becomes, well, you're a whole person. This is your personality. This is your upbringing. So tell me more about that. And that comes into not right or wrong. It's just basically, this is my beliefs, my preference, and my understandings. And that's a whole new way of a non-threatening way of reintroducing this concept.
And also having positive psychology in the workplace, right? So being an inviting culture, like you said, Brett, and a person does not get reprimanded or, anything that goes wrong by bringing himself or herself to work the way they are. I think that's really, we're missing out on that in many different organizations.
Do you feel that in when we're looking at the United States or North America, in parts of the country where we have a bigger percentage of Muslim populations, be it in Michigan or in other corners of the country where we're aware, okay, here's a higher percentage of Muslims, that the workplace or that corporate America has become a little bit more aware of this and have developed new approaches to this, or is there no data around that?
Yeah, I don't know about data, but I could tell you from personal experience. I have worked with some clients who are in Michigan, like you said, Christian, and it was the automotive manufacturing company, and 25% of their workforce, and they had about 1,000 people, were Arabs and they were Muslims. And I had the privilege of doing a training session for them and do a cultural audit, if you will, about what's going on in their company and things that they could tweak and make better. And it was very interesting. And some of the things that I found was they wanted to be very accommodating and they were going to do it their own way. And what they ended up doing is they wanted to build a multi-purpose room for people to exercise in and to pray in. And I was just going, really? Have you had any input from your Muslim employees? No. And they were going to put in like tens of thousands of dollars. So that wouldn't have worked. And so during the training session, there were some supervisors who were Arab and were Muslims. And this came out and they said, no, this is not a good idea at all. So they had to revisit that. So that conversation and that audit saved them a lot of money that could have gone just down the drain. And, just think about the employees, the Muslim employees, when they tell them, hey, there's a space for you to pray, and they find out it's also an exercise room, they would feel like, Are they like mocking us? Are they mocking our faith traditions? And it would not been a good thing to have. The other point is that some of them were doing things that needed to be told. Like in the cafeteria, they were bringing halal food. So all their beef, all their chicken were halal. But they weren't advertising it. And the reason why, they told me, was, we've been doing it for so long, everybody knows. I said, no, you have to keep on keeping on. You can't just say, we've done this, they know it, and to let go, because that's a visible sign that we care and we are accommodating.
Right. And you think an employer would be excited to share something that they're doing to
and getting credit for it, right?
But notice that I know there's different Muslim traditions, not just Shia and Sunni, but also there's different cultural subgroups, right? You have the Arab Muslim world, you have the Indian Muslim world, you have the Persian Muslim world, you have the Indonesian Muslim world, and you have here in North America, you have the Nation of Islam, the African American dominated Muslim world. Do they celebrate Eid differently, or is Eid a unifying factor for them?
It's a unifying factor, but how they celebrate it, the culture plays a very important role. Right? How people dress, what do they eat? You know, how do the families get together? What, you know, it's just so many different things. Religion is just one layer of that diversity, right. And then everything else colors how they do things.
Nice.
So wonderful. Is the vessel, and then how they fill the vessel is up to them.
So, Soumaya, what is the official count? When is sundown today in Atlanta, Georgia?
In Atlanta, Georgia, I think it's at 8:32.
So 4 more hours to go as we're broadcasting this live.
Yes.
Hang tight. It's all you're almost done with accomplishing it. You're almost at the finish line. Yes.
And I'm declaring that once this finished, we will declare the Festival of Soumaya for the month of May, in honor of your birthday. So
thank you.
Festival of Soumaya. This is what
it does feel like Christmas to me. I mean, I was just driving today to run some errands, and inside of me, I felt like it was Christmas, but it wasn't Christmas, right? And it was just a really weird feeling. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great. Fantastic.
Soumaya, thank you so much for coming on today. I know it was short notice, and I know you support us. We support you. We love you for this. Eid Mubarak, and to everybody out there celebrating the big holiday. I hope you learned a few new things. If you're not from the Muslim world or not close to the Muslim world, we thank you for shedding some light on these traditions that are often foreign to those around the world who are not deeply involved with faith traditions that are quote unquote foreign to them. So thanks for doing that, Soumaya.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with both of you, and I love you both. Thank you.
Feelings mutual. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
2 Chaps are out for now. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.